And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live at the St. Joseph the Worker Church Catholic Church in Kangemi. We've been on the road all this week. Yesterday we were at the university grounds, today here, because tomorrow, right there behind me, Pope Francis will conduct a mass for the poor. He'll be here after that. He goes to Kasarani, speaking to tens of thousands of youth, and he'll be giving them a message. Message we've been hearing the last 24 hours, various messages. In fact, here's one message. I'm just getting this off Vatican News, and Father Patrick Devine, who joins me, he actually shares something with the Pope if you're just joining us. It's something called an International Caring Award. I call it the equivalent of a Nobel. He and Pope Francis are both recipients. How about that? And other people include Bill Clinton, Dalai Lama, Colin Powell. He's in good company here. But listen to this, Father Patrick. Vatican News, there's an off the cuff when the Pope was speaking to religious leaders earlier on today. He says, indifference, religious indifference makes God vomit.
Yes.
Wow. That's powerful.
So indifference to the needs of the poor, indifference to slavery, which is still going on, organ business, trafficking, so on. To have indifference, it is a real insult to the Christ who died on the cross to transform our lives, transform the world. When I say transform, in the sense to look at all the different socio-political, economic institutions, and to have an indifference about the poor, those in difficulty, you've missed the heart of the message. And certainly to be going into priesthood with an indifference to the plight of the poor and the weak and those in conflict environments, well, then you're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
You're really, as the Pope said today, you have come in through the window when you should have come in through the door.
Front door. Yeah, look, this Pope has literally turned the church on its head, hasn't he?
Well, I mean, some have suggested that, but I wouldn't agree totally with that, because if you look at the tradition of the past 2 or 3 popes, I mean, John Paul II was a fantastic pope, and what he did for freedom, especially in Eastern Europe, the fall of communism. Pope Benedict came in then, and Benedict, while he may not have had the extrovert personality of John Paul II or a different personality from Pope Francis, but he did tremendous work in terms, he inherited a lot of problems in the church, and the church had problems at the time in terms of its formation of priesthood. There were problems with pedophile priests throughout the world. There were issues that had to be addressed, and he really took it head on. And I always admire him for that, and he often doesn't get credit. He brought a great intellectualism to discussions on religious dialogue and so on. And then, of course, Francis has come, and that's the greatness about it. We don't know what's coming down the road, but the main thing is for everybody to be true to the Lord that they've committed themselves to, and whatever you're divine, regardless of your religion, to be true to it, right? And to bloom where you're planted, and then as to get down off the pedestal, to get out on the street, to be down in Kangemi, like for example, Shalom as well, that we're not just talking pie in the sky here, Jeff. We just had a graduation of 120 people trained below in Shalom with the skills, the analytical skills, as I mentioned to you, peace-building techniques, issues of conflict transformation, and how to analyze conflict. Because there's 3 main windows. One is the issue of power. Because power is always, Jeff, about your interests and security. And if you cannot attain it by positive manipulation, you'll revert to threats and sanctions and coercion. Coercion. Force is correct. And that is an issue here in Kenya that has to be looked at. The other one is what I said, is to look at the structural, how society is structured, the institutions. Are they helping people in terms of equity to have an equal chance? An equal chance, and that is not what's present in Kenya. There's a huge amount of structural value. Thirdly is just to look at how we can manipulate the environment positively, so there's better communication and so on.
Will one man make a difference, Reverend Father Patrick? Will one man make a difference? Will his message resonate, especially with the youth who are the majority, not just in Kenya but in Africa?
I think it would be a really dumb fool that would think that this visit of Pope Francis hasn't made an impact at all levels of society. And the message is sound. People know that it's the truth. And that is critical. And truth will stand or fall on its own merit. And I think what he has delivered and shared with us, he has inspired us to rise, maybe all of us, above who we are and to go the extra mile. And look at him, at his age, 78.
78.
He's there. And it's not about how many hours a day, it's the content of the hours.
And his simplicity, Father Patrick, he's such a simple guy. I mean, look, and look where he came from. He did everything from what? He worked as a bouncer, he worked as a cleaner, worked as a teacher. Simple.
Yeah, well, I think, Jeff, without overstating it, many people in the church have begun in very simple
Really, name
ways.
three.
Huh? Well, I would say that most of your clergy here in Kenya, if you looked at their background, what they were doing many times, and especially in the past, coming from traditional villages, they were coming from very poor families, they were herding, they were farming, they had very little money, and they have given a tremendous commitment as well, and life and work over the years. Now, I don't know many hundreds in that. But I'm just saying, you know, but so while that's very, which is fantastic, you know, but also to recognise here in Kenya too, like that's never recognized, we say doesn't get the publicity. There's hundreds of unsung heroes up tonight, up in Turkana, West Pokot, Marsabit, up among the Gabras, the Windillas. There are people who could not come to Nairobi, could not experience this. Now they're getting the message. But I mean, for a lot of them that haven't got the opportunity, it doesn't really cast a big problem for them, in the sense, because we're in oneness anyhow, in a commitment to a message.
When you joined the Society for African Missionaries, what, some 40 years ago, whatever, did you know what you were getting into?
Well, when I joined, for me what happened was, I felt, I always say I didn't bug priesthood, it bugged me. But I knew that if I joined, I wanted to go to a third world place. And so Africa had a lot of problems, and I felt that that's where I wanted to go. And then I came in contact with this order, the Society of African Missions, and everyone who joins us has to make a lifelong commitment to Africa. So people were feeling a little sorry for me in Ireland when I was leaving, you know, the green fields of Ireland and the golden-haired boy ordained. I landed here in Nairobi, got in a Suzuki car. The road was pretty good as far as the border. Down into Tanzania, that was the end of the good roads. And what happened to me then was I discovered I was blessed. Africa has blessed me with happiness and fulfillment. And it doesn't matter whether I'm here in Nairobi or sitting here all dressed up tonight like this, or I'm up in the conflict environment, or I'm down in Kibera slum, or down in western Tanzania. Not at all. And but most of all, I wouldn't have that peace only for my relationship with God.
Bottom line, no regrets.
No regrets. It's not always easy. But you know, no one should sort of feel sorry for themselves that it's not always easy, because I have to meet the person yet, man or woman, who finds it easy every day or always gets it easy.
Absolutely. Look, I know you don't like talking about this, but I have to ask you, because how were you selected amongst people like Colin Powell, the Dalai Lama, later on Clinton, and now the Pope? I mean, what is this thing about? What is this International Caring Award?
Well, if you ask me, I don't know how I was selected. But I actually was in New York getting medical treatment at the time when I got the call, and this guy came on the phone to me, and he started
treatment for?
I had prostate cancer at the time, and he came on, he said, "Are you Father Patrick?" So then he went through, and they had done research back into AIDS prevention education programs down in Tanzania, and working in Rwanda, coordinating the pastoral care of the refugees coming, but a whole lot of things. And in fact, I think they overstated some of them, to be honest about it, Jeff. You know, but that's what happened, Jeff. And so I don't know, Jeff. I don't know how that works, and it hasn't really made a huge difference in my life. As soon as the award was over, I was back in Africa, and I'm really looking forward to the development of our work, what we're doing, because we think we're addressing the underlying causes of conflict and underdevelopment.
But like you said, it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to take decades.
Of course, but I mean, we can do it. And Kenya can do it. And even talking about Pope Francis, he's a member of the Society of Jesus. We often know them as the Jesuits. They have opened a tremendous master's program here at Hakima College. It's the Institute of Peace Studies and International Relations. It's on Riara Road, where they're training people now with the skills. And mark my words, going forward, there's more of that needed. Because conflict, I think, we shouldn't be under any illusion. Africa will experience a lot of conflict going forward.
Absolutely.
Now everybody is after the mineral resources. So, I mean, the institutions at both the national, regional as well, regional, national, international, really need to be strengthened.
Yeah.
Because who will suffer out most? It will be the poor. The poor, the people living in remote, neglected areas, the marginalised. And especially here to the elite in Kenya, they really need to examine too that they don't sell their soul and sell the soul of their people, because I'm always concerned that there'll be boards set up and the rights of the people, the ordinary people who are living in those areas, who probably have only customary rights to land and customary rights to resources, will be forgotten. And I think that's very, very, very important.
You teach as well?
I teach over at the Tangaza College. It's a constituent college of the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, conflict resolution and reconciliation, only for one semester, because a lot of my work too is actually on the ground.
Yeah.
And can I just say, we have a great team, and I'm sure maybe some of them are watching tonight, men and women.
Do you feel safe out there? I mean, one has to ask. You're out there in the middle of God knows where, and there's bandits all over the place. I've been to Turkana, I've driven out there, and there's bandits. They can be nasty. Do you feel safe?
Well, sometimes it's not safe. Sometimes we have to be very careful because roads are blocked, crossing especially where two ethnic groups interface with each other. And there is, like, the last statistic I saw was 1.6 AK-47s per family. But now, let me add very quickly on that. People have guns, a lot of the time, not out of aggressivity, but out of the need to protect themselves. Because there's a real deficiency in terms of institutions of law and order, legal redress, medical and education. And that is common knowledge. So it's something that needs to be developed, keeping in mind that Kenya is a developing country and we're still in process of doing that. So sometimes we have had to evacuate our people out of conflict zones, conflict environment, because for their safety. Myself, over my years I have experienced being robbed. So it hasn't been in conflict zone, sometimes around Nairobi. On one occasion, 3 of us were attacked by robbers, and one of them put the gun here and he put the bullet fortunately out to the right, but we had to lie on the ground for a half an hour afterwards. But I remember the 3 of us got up and the 3 of us said, and I'm not making this just for the sake of the story, we said, isn't it wonderful to be alive? And it really is, and life is great. And I mean, it's so important. And every one of us has such potential if we activate it. And we have a potential not just to meet our own needs, but to give. And the more we give, the more we become fully human and fully alive. And actually, we begin to feel at home within ourselves a lot more.
Yeah. There's one time I visited the Shalom Center, and I was impressed by the outfit and the setup and everything. But the person who impressed me the most is a young man who was a driver for you guys.
That's right.
Uneducated, was driving for the longest time, and now decided, I guess through osmosis, he decided he wants to go back to get his high school equivalent.
Well, this guy, our team, we last year now, just for example, 64 workshops, right, of teams going up north and working in Kibera. Whatever team wasn't up, they were working in Kibera. So he is our main man going up there. And so this guy was sitting in on the workshops. He had never finished secondary school, but he was really interested. He was taking notes. So we really encouraged him to go back to school. So we have him back, and he's completing his secondary school, and we have already begun to look up a diploma course for him. So we don't know where he's going to go. But a guy that would never have had that opportunity and now realise that there's a potential that was never actualised.
Yeah, and there are millions of others out there.
There are millions, thousands, hundreds of thousands anyhow. And but keeping in mind the development of the nation that's in process.
Yeah, but I mean, look, there are a lot of angry young men and women out there, youth who have no hope for the future. They look around, they see people driving big cars, stealing lots of money, and they get angrier.
Well, that's what I was on about, the social pressure cooker. It's there. So we have to be, at the end of the day, that's a conversion, as I said, at the personal level. It's called, we have to do that. It's at the relational level. It's at the institutional, it's at the culture level too, because often culture legitimizes these things and thinks it's okay, and to laud the person who has made wealth from an irregular way, right? So we have the same with violence. Sometimes when we're up north, we discover that sometimes the culture itself legitimizes violence. And so there's a lot of transformation needed, Jeff. I mean, one of the things that this country will have to decide on going forward is they'll have to decide at what point do you move from determining policy in terms of the best short-term politics, because a lot of the time that's where we're engaged in this country, the best short-term politics as distinct from the right long-term policies. And that is where we have to move to. Now it's difficult, it has its difficulty within a democratic electoral system, but that's something we have to move to. And I think we're often just stuck at the short-term politics.
Absolutely. We've got 1 minute to go. That's your camera over there. Talk to us.
Well, going forward, I think in Kenya, people, all of us, need to be always careful of a danger of an arrogance of ignorance about issues and an ignorance of arrogance. I think even in light of the Pope's visit, we should never, even from the Christian, the Catholic, it's not about a triumphalism. It's not, the visit isn't about that, but it's about moving us to look at how we can qualitatively bring about spiritual transformation that will be in the service of the poor and the weak, but not just in the service of everybody, as distinct from being always interested in quantitative institutional membership of religious groups. So it's the qualitative, the spiritual transformation that we should all aspire to and put it into action, and none of us should underestimate our potential.
Well put, Father Patrick. Well put. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm gonna end with a tweet. You're gonna love this one. Edward Extian. Extian, any relation? And he says, listen to this. When the Pope sleeps with me in the same country for 3 days, what else do I need?
Lala Salama.
Father Patrick, notice that yellow and white background over there? You see the ribbons?
Yes, of course, the purple colors.
We took the material off of that and made this t-shirt for you.
Oh, Jeff, thank you very much.
Enjoy.
Really appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Stay safe.
Thanks to everybody who's supporting us in our work we're doing.
Don't wear that in Turkana, okay?
Oh, I think they know of you up there.
They'll shoot you.
No. They'll say, greet him. Greet Jeff. My oh my.
Oh my, what my. Good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Oh wow, what a show it is. I hope you've been as inspired as I have. Father Patrick Devine, my goodness, dedicating his life to serving Africa. He's been on the continent nearly 30 years.
Oh my God, Jeff.
20 of those in Kenya, and still going strong. Wow. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag Pope in Kenya. Next week, it's going to be a new week, new show, new guests, new theme, new topics. But you know the one thing that's consistent on this show, same time, same place. Make sure you tune in to Kenya's television network, KTN, every Wednesday, Thursday, 10:05 p.m. for the best of the best of the best. Jeff Koinange live. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night. Good luck. God bless.
Oh, amen.
Thank you, Father.
You're welcome.
Asante sana.
Welcome.